All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor here at Free Spiritual Community. So good to be with you all tonight, not just virtually. Yes, I'm looking at you in the camera, you in your living rooms and home, free circles and sober living houses and other places across the country. But we also reopened here, like physically reopened for a limited amount of people. So welcome, everybody. If you're new with us, or if it's been a while since you've been here, let me remind you, we're a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. Why do we call this place Free? Because all the things that set us free, grace, compassion, love, forgiveness, these are the things that are so freely given by God. So we call this place and you people, this community, Free. Now, if you want to come in person for the next Saturday or the following Saturdays, our sign up is online. It's on our website, freespiritualcommunity.com. You just scroll down a little bit and you'll see a big button that says reserve, what's it say? Reserve my seat for Saturday, save my seat, give me a seat, let me come, whatever. Something that's really clear. Click on it, brings you to a sign up genius, put your name and email in, and that reserves your spot here. So if you want to come, we'd love to have you. It's for a limited amount of people, or if you're more comfortable in your living room or bathroom or kitchen, wherever y'all do this virtual thing, you can do that too. We're happy to have you here. A few things you need to know about. I got to pull up notes for this. Oh, do y'all remember a couple of weeks ago when we did a sobriety check-in, and we said, give us the amount of time you've been sober, put it in the comments? So our tech team spent the last several hours, probably not several hours, several minutes, counting up all those times that you guys put in. Let's throw an image on the screen. How long does this community have sobriety? 184 years, 7 months, and 42 days of sobriety in this free community. That was just one Saturday. So if y'all want to add to that, you can put it in. If you didn't get a chance to do it a couple weeks ago, drop it in the comments. Let us know how long you've been sober, how long you've been in recovery. By the way, this isn't just for addicts and alcoholics, those of you in recovery. This is also for the loved ones of. How long have you all been in recovery from being addicted to the one who's addicted? Yeah. How long's that been? So drop it in the comments. We'll keep adding to it. We've got a good start. Let's keep going. 184 years. Let's add to it. All right, y'all, I want to say a word about Wagon Coffee, Tammy Canaday and Wagon Coffee. If you are looking for a Valentine's Day gift, it is not too late. Do we have the Valentine's Day box on the screen? Well, I'll just tell you all about it. It's a box, there it is. It's got chocolate therapy chocolate in it, which has all kinds of benefits to it. Tammy can tell you more about it. Stick around, talk to Tammy. It's got the recovery coffee. It's got a, what do we call it? The reflection guide? Just a little brochure reflection guide thing to guide you and the person you love through a little time of reflection together. So to spend time together, enjoy chocolate and coffee. If you're looking for a gift, that is $30. Speaking of Wagon Coffee, did you all catch Wagon Coffee on 9 News this week? Yeah, some of you did. We have the story. It was cool. They came out this week. They did a story here at Free on Wagon Coffee. So take a look. Here it is.
Hi.
For some, stepping into this coffee shop leads to new beginnings.
So it was something that had been brewing in the back of my mind for a couple of years.
New beginnings is what Tammy Canaday is giving to women recovering from substance abuse. She's the owner of Wagon Coffee Roasters. The people roasting the coffee are women looking for a fresh start.
You know, alcohol really took a lot from me.
Women like Anne-Marie Kelly.
I was a professional pilot. I still am a pilot. I am going to get back to it.
For now, she's a part-time employee at Wagon Coffee, where she's surrounded by support.
It's been hard. You know, a lot of us give up working or, you know, are unable to work because of our addiction has taken us down.
When she's not roasting coffee,
We do have 12-step meetings.
she's in an AA meeting that's happening in the middle of the coffee shop.
I'm so grateful to be able to be the one to help and get the ball rolling and help connect these women that are in recovery to giving them a job in a healthy environment.
An environment that makes all the difference to the women who are given a second chance.
It's definitely challenging, but just having this community already in my life made it so much easier.
Victoria De Leon, 9 News.
Way to go, Wagon! Congratulations, Wagon Coffee, and all you ladies who are involved in that work, that important work that y'all are doing. So thank you for that. We're proud of y'all. Here's what we do in this free community. We start with celebrations. It's how we begin. We do not leave out the heartaches, the heavy stuff. We just don't start there because we don't want to get bogged down there as a community. And we know in this community we carry heavy burdens. We walk some dark paths together. You all experience some darkness, so we don't ignore it. We just save it for the end, but we begin with celebrating. So I want y'all to take 2 minutes and give us your celebrations. If you're here live in person, I'm going to invite you to stand and say your name and what you're celebrating. If you're virtual with us, drop it in the comments, because something really profound happens when a community of literally thousands of people join together and celebrate with you. And we join in this celebration with God because we believe God celebrates with us as well, and God welcomes the good news. God is creating the good news with us. So take 2 minutes. This can be sobriety anniversaries, this can be birthdays, this can be new babies up in the house, this can be new jobs, new travels. I mean, whatever it is, give us the good news, because we start with good news. So take 2 minutes and then we'll be right back. All right, y'all, I hope you had as much fun as we did celebrating here up in the house. I didn't even read any comments because, well, we were having fun here. So Tammy's going to come join me. We had 4 years sober here with Saman. Where's Saman? Is she still here? 4 years sober. We had a birthday. We had celebrating a birthday and beating breast cancer. We had beating another potential cancer. All kinds of good stuff. What do we have back there? Nothing back there? I don't know. All kinds of good stuff. Mm-hmm. We'll celebrate some comments online too.
I'm like a little more nervous tonight. There's a lot of people here.
I know, isn't it? It's like first day of school butterflies.
Yeah, I know.
I got them too. Let's go through it too. We can walk this path together, honey. Let's do it.
Hey, Lori, good to have you here. She says, celebrating my sister embracing rehab and her joy on returning to life.
All right. Way to go, Lori. And I hope you all can hear that online, this community clapping. And I hope you're clapping for each other online. Deborah says, hey, Deb. Said it at the same time. Kudos. I'm celebrating the fact that I am not bitter after my divorce. Thanks to your sermon, Ryan, about forgiveness. It really hit home for me. Well, thanks for sharing that, Deb. We're celebrating that with you. Another Deb.
Yeah, so it looks like Deb and Ryan's dad, Bob, made it home. That's good.
Yeah, made it back to Florida.
Yeah. She says celebrating a new beginning with coffee. 1210 white coffee with chocolate creamer.
They were here yesterday, here at Free. They hated white coffee.
Hated it.
We served it in a new way with chocolate creamer, and well, they're hooked. So
Yes.
there's a community for you. There's a community for you here. All right, good to see you all
awesome.
yesterday. Is it mine? Mine. Danny Colella says, celebrating my wife booming in her new leather earring business.
There she is.
Yes,
Shirley! Stay-at-home mom, CEO. Is that what he said?
CEO.
Cute.
I love it.
Oh, cute. Hey, Cindy. She says celebrating great family news and new beginnings. We'll take it.
All right, Cindy. Glad to have you all here. Stephen says, daughter's doing well with position in D.C. on Capitol Hill.
Ooh.
All right, prayers for your daughter, or celebrating with your daughter.
Hey, Missy. Kelly.
Missy, where's Missy from?
Carolina. The Carolinas.
No, other coast, Washington.
She's in Washington.
Yeah, Washington State.
Oh,
Missy's
man, I
with
got-
the crew up in Washington.
Oh, man, I got
She's got like
totally
10 people in
confused.
her living room right now.
Sorry,
so
Missy.
welcome, Missy,
Ooh,
and
I
crew.
butchered it.
Yeah.
She says Kelly and are celebrating 30 years married today.
Yes.
Cool. Love it. Thanks.
Congratulations. Do we have one more? How many more do we have? A couple more? Okay, Colette says, my legal issues are being handled the best way it could have gone. You know what? We're going to celebrate that with you,
Good.
Colette.
Good to have you, Colette.
All right, y'all. So fun to celebrate with you. And you know what? I've got to look at my notes tonight to see what's
I'm
next.
going to scooch out.
Yeah, thanks for being with me. I love you. So listen, y'all, tonight's a little different in the best sort of way. Later on, we have Derek in the house. He's going to be sharing his story. He's going to sit at the table with me. We're going to have a conversation on faith, because we're still in this Selfless series, and we're going to be talking about selfless faith and what is faith. We wrestle with this stuff. We struggle with this stuff. Your questions, your doubts, your wrestling is welcome here. Truly, it's welcome here. You belong here. But before we get to the storyteller, you all know Danny Colella, our digital content director. A few weeks ago when we were talking, he said, man, I could give the message sometime and give you a break. I said, Danny, that would be a really great idea. We planned it for this week, not knowing what the last couple of weeks would look like for me. Y'all know I was in St. Louis last week for my grandma's funeral, and you know, things have just been busy. They've been hectic. Wagon Coffee is taking off in exciting ways. So I got a little break tonight, this week, of actually preparing the message. And Danny prepared it, and it's going to be powerful. I'm so glad to have Danny here in this community, the energy that he brings, the new perspectives that he brings to me. We work well together. Is it true, Danny? I think, good. I'm glad you didn't say we don't. We would have had a problem. But he's going to give a message on faith tonight, and faith being selfless, and what faith has looked like in his life. So I want you all to join the journey and join with me in welcoming Danny to the center.
Well, welcome everyone here. Welcome Free Spiritual Community. And I'll say it again, Free is a spiritual community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And we break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you all. And I really want to talk about what the word community means here. Free spiritual community. Why do we use the word community? Why is that so important? That's because a lot of people have had not the best experiences with church or religion. It's okay, it's happened, right? A lot of people in this room or people at home in the depths of addiction might have made some decisions they weren't proud of. And people might have made them feel not so comfortable. So we call this a community because you get to call this what you want. We have people like Kavita, I know you call this your church. And we have people that call this their community or just their space to hang. And we want you to know that's what we love this place to be. And one more thing I want you to know is that this place is safe for you to battle your questions. For you to battle your questions with God that you don't quite understand, that things that have happened that you need to work through, it's safe here. And we recognize that and we see that every week. And in this community, what's different about this community is our bond is brokenness, right? Our bond is brokenness. We've all been there. We've all hit that rock bottom. We've all been there at a time, and that is our bond, and that is what makes us so different than everyone else. So as I get started, I want you to know I'm a fellow 12-stepper. It's a different story for a different time that I'll bring up, but I am in a program, and I do work the program, and I didn't grow up in church. So a lot of people here may have had the experience of growing up in church and having that experience, but I didn't grow up in church. You know, for me, Sundays were a day of rest. We watched football, we hung out. It wasn't a day that we really went to church or did things like that. And, you know, to be honest, if I'm being honest with everybody, church made me a little uncomfortable, right? It was a little uncomfortable for me. I'd go there, but I would feel sometimes like I didn't measure up. You know, and I know that some of that stuff was my own stuff that I was working with, but there were times where I feel like I just didn't measure up when I was at church. The other people were doing it right. I was doing it wrong. And through a really big gift of desperation that I was given, I found God. I did find God. I found God about 6 years ago. And more importantly, when I found God, I also found a guide. So Drew's going to put a picture up of a friend of mine. His name is Jeff Lugay. And he is the Filipino brown man there holding the knife, looking all excited. And he's been a friend of mine for quite some time. He was a friend, he was a boss, and more importantly, he was always an encourager. He was always the guy in my life, even when I felt uncomfortable with church, that he would tell me, like, you know, Dano, he called me Dano. He'd say, you know, God has big plans for you. And I'd be like, oh, okay, thanks. And he'd be like, you know, you should visit me in church on Sunday. And I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm kind of busy. And I did that. And he was always that nice guy that kind of nudged me. You know, I was never uncomfortable, but he was always there. And the important thing to know is that when I found God, when I had that moment, and when it was these new shoes that I had to put on, I called him. He had set himself up to be there for me, that when that time came, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. It feels weird. And he came through with the Bibles and here's what to do, here's what not to do, here's some church etiquette, all that good stuff that you learn as you get going. And he was a guide for me. So I want to challenge, if you're here and you're wondering if religion or church or God or whatever is that good for you, is there a guide in your life right now? Somebody that's poking you, somebody that's saying, hey, it's okay. When you're ready, who is that guide in your life? Recognize that person. They're standing for you and you might not even know it. So I want to talk about why we're calling this series Selfless. Why did we decide to call this series Selfless? Well, if there's one thing I think a lot of us in this room can agree on, is that it's our selfishness that got us where we were. It's our selfishness that got us to the points that we didn't want to be in, the positions that we didn't want to be in. And when we look back, we can kind of tie it all back into the selfishness of ourselves, what we wanted to do. And I know the people who are in this room that work the program get that. You find that, you know? And I want to talk about, you know, the truth when we're hurting and how we have an ability to use the right part of our brain. So I'm going to throw an image up here that I call the pain brain. This is the image where, you know, before you find, you're selfish right now, right? You're going through something and you're thinking, I need to help myself. You're thinking things like, my drug, it makes me feel better. You're thinking things like, I'm kind of better by myself, right? I'm kind of better. Whenever I'm with anybody else, they're just pulling me down. They're telling me things I don't want to hear. I'm better by myself. And I'm not hurting anyone, right? I'm not hurting anyone with what I'm doing. It's just me. I'm not hurting anyone. That's your pain brain. And I want to make this comparison for this next image, what we're going to call your logic brain. The difference between your pain brain and your logic brain. Now, your logic brain or your discovery brain is when you finally get there. You finally work. You finally have let yourself go to a process, or you're allowing yourself to not be so inverted and looking at yourself, and you say, I need help. This drug's killing me. This addiction's killing me. Porn, working, whatever it is, it's killing me. I've lost everyone who matters to me. You recognize that, and you recognize once and for all that you did, in fact, hurt others. Often people who are really close to you, people you care about the most, people that you never thought you would hurt so bad, you recognize you did. And that's big growth. And when we're in that pain brain, we all recognize that there's that tiny voice that's always there, right? It's whispering to you, saying, you're not good enough. You're a mistake. It'd be better off if you weren't here. It's that brain that we hear. It's talking to us. And I want you to know that's your pain brain. And when it comes to the things that God's voice is saying to you, trying to tell you over top of that is, you're perfectly imperfect. Like you are. Can we all agree we're perfectly imperfect? We made mistakes, but are we broken? No, we're perfectly imperfect. So this is something I read in John 12:24. It's a great scripture. It says, truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. So I want you to think about that. Are you that grain of wheat? Are you that grain of wheat that if you don't die, if you don't give up, you remain alone? And if you do, well, the death of you as that grain of wheat, will it allow you to be the fruit in others' lives, to impact other people? You know, when we're in that pain brain and we're in that spot, we can't help other people. We can't move other people where they need to be. But can I get some hands in the room for people in recovery that have helped other people through their troubles, who have helped other people move through? They've experienced it. They died in the ground so that they could bear fruit and help other people. And there are people in your life. There are people in your life right now that are that way. So I like to call myself a toddler Christian. As I told you before, I'm kind of new to Christianity. I didn't grow up with it. I used to call myself a baby. Now I feel like I'm a toddler. I'm figuring it out. But when I found God, there was still kind of like Monday through Saturday me, right? Like Monday through Saturday through me, did a lot of fun stuff. Didn't really think about much. But then there was Sunday me. There was Sunday me that would show up to church with all my people, and the Sunday me was like, you know, let's fit in. And Monday through Saturday was chill. I did normal stuff. And Sunday me was trying really hard to fit in. Really hard to go to church, try on this new shoe, and fit in with people. And Sunday me was hard. Sunday me was hard because in the back of my mind, I knew something about myself that everybody else didn't. You see, over the course of a three-year time of my life, I managed to rack up 2 DUIs in my life. Nothing I'm proud of, but I want you to know that the power that had over me, when I tried to connect, when I tried to go to church, in me, it was kind of wondering, like, what if they find out? Man, what if they find out? What does that mean for me? What are they going to do? Are they going to accept me? If they find this out, are they going to allow me to be part of their group? You know, and it was me every Sunday that just wondered. I prayed to God no one would find that out. And, you know, this thing also affected me in life. So I was qualified for a lot of jobs that I didn't go after for one reason. I knew that I was going to have to go to the HR person and I was going to have to talk about these things that I did. I knew that I was going to have to talk about the problems that I made for myself and the mistakes that I did. So it held me back from jobs, money, possibilities. And I let it control me. And these mistakes owned me, and not only did they own me, but they were the steering wheel of my life. They were making decisions for me. They easily were. So when I moved to Colorado, how many years ago? 4? 4 years ago, I was lucky enough to get connected into the recovery community. And this was different for me. I'd never been in the recovery community before. And, you know, to let you know, too, I'm not in AA as a 12-step as well. But I would meet with people in recovery that I'd never met before, and this was profound to me. They would tell me, I remember this one experience, I was sitting with someone, and he told me about his two felonies the first time I met him. And I remember at that time I was thinking, wow, leading with that, huh? Okay, good to meet you. Where do we go from here? And, you know, what I've learned, and it took me literally probably 6 months to a year for me to finally learn, is that this human was so far past that, so far over that, had done all the work through that this person was ready to tell me. They didn't care. It didn't own them. It didn't own them certainly like my 2 DUIs owned me. What was different? What was different with that? So through that experience and through meeting a lot of wonderful people in recovery, I was able to move past that. I found strength from my past. It doesn't bother me anymore. It's something I did. It's not who I am. So my problems may be small to some of you. You may think, oh, 2 DUIs, I did that before I was 15. You know, some of your problems you may think I'm small, but I want to be honest with all of you that size does not matter. The size of your problem or what you did doesn't matter. What matters is how you let it affect you. My 2 DUIs left me crippled, left me not moving forward, left me stuck in a time. And for you, it could be something completely different. Someone might have hurt you. Someone might have done something to you. Someone might have wronged you, but you're living there and you can't get past it. And what matters is that you're finally ready to say, I've had enough. I've had enough. And I know a lot of people in this room have said that. And there's a lot of people at home and a lot of people here that maybe still haven't. But you got to say, I'm ready to open up. I will no longer let my past dictate my future, and I will run towards new life. Run. This is the key. You got to run. And as you're doing that, and as you're putting on this shoe that doesn't fit, I want to let you know again that there is safety in battling your questions here. The reason I led with the community is because we don't care if you don't like God. We don't care here. We don't care if you're mad at God. We don't care if you're in a moment of life where you think God isn't there for you, and he's not. But guess what? There's a lot of people in this room that are. There's more people around you than you think that really are. In a moment, you're going to hear from our friend Derek. Derek has been in this community for quite a while, and Derek started showing up to Free when he was broken. Really broken. Life wasn't going well. Things were hurting. Derek was hurting. People had hurt him. Religion had hurt him. He'd had a lot of pain in his life, but something told him to come and to keep coming back. And Derek even told us that he routinely would show up high. And he would always say the one thing he remembered is that we didn't close the door on him. We didn't say, you're not welcome here. We didn't say, can you go get yourself together and come back? These are things that we didn't say to Derek. And, you know, I'll never forget one of the most impactful things that I've ever seen happen in a spiritual community or community in general. It's, we had a group of people probably bigger than this, right around 130, 140 people. And we'll get to our heartaches a little later. But in front of 140 people during heartache session, Derek shared some of the most hurtful things that had happened to him. He didn't just share it, he verbally told us some of the most hurtful things that had gone in his life in front of 140 strangers, people he didn't know. Derek trusted them. He trusted all of us. He trusted all of us, and we didn't let him down. When we talked the other day, Derek even told me he went out after that and he punched his car so hard. He thought, I ruined this. I loved this place and now I ruined it. And look at him today. He's here. He's our storyteller. We loved on him. He moved through it, and he's a big part of this community right now. And as a community, one of our core values is, and I want everybody who can finish this sentence to say it with me, we don't do shame. That's one thing we don't do here. We don't do shame. We don't do shame at all. Pastor Ryan says it all the time. You've dealt with enough shame. You've dealt with enough disgrace. You don't need more of it when you come here. And there's one thing I know. There are some of you out there, you're wondering what it looks like to open up and believe. You're wondering what it looks like to think about taking the next step, to place your faith in something you don't quite understand, to place your faith in someone you don't quite understand, and maybe taking a step towards God is just too big, right? Too big. You could be mad at God. It just might be too big of a step right now, but maybe you just need to take a step towards opening it up to people in this community. Maybe this community was built for you to start opening up. So don't make the mistake of thinking someone else is better than you, less broken, not damaged, because in this community, that's not the case. Don't make the mistake of thinking that someone else is worthy of God's love, but you're not. Don't make that mistake. So we're going to take 60 seconds to reflect on the things that I said tonight, and there's a few things that I want you to ask yourself when we do this. Are you going to say, have I had enough? Am I ready to move forward? Can I lay down my shame and guilt? And can I let a power greater than me restore me to sanity and health? And if that's you, as a public display of your commitment to not letting your past dictate your future, and more importantly, being ready to create new life with God and community, then if you're watching online, I want to ask you to simply type in the word selfless. Type in the word selfless in the comments to say, you know what, I've had enough, and I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm ready to open up. And if that's you in this room, raise your hand. I've had enough. Thank you. I'm ready. I'm ready. I've had enough. I don't need this anymore. I'm ready to change. So take 60 seconds, reflect on this today, and ask yourself, am I ready to move through this? So take 60.
We back on? We're back. Did y'all not appreciate those words from Danny Colella? Yeah. Can we give him a round of applause? I didn't say this earlier, but here's what I meant to say. You know, from day one, when Danny and Shirley and I and my wife Tammy, when we sat at that table right where y'all are sitting right now, and we had this conversation about free, we both left here. The day before Danny came on board, Tammy and I both left and we said, he gets this community. He gets the mission. He gets what we're about. He gets what breaking the silence and creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection is about. He gets what We Don't Do Shame is all about. Did y'all feel that he got it? Thank you, Danny. Love you, brother. Proud of you, man. Thank you for bringing it tonight. He'll be back again soon. I feel it. I feel it. And he's here every week. Y'all do know that, right? I mean, he runs the stream that you're seeing. Him and Drew and our tech team do that in the back. Danny he's our digital content director. So all that video stuff you see, that's his magic that he works, and we're really grateful. Thank you again, Danny. I want to introduce you all to Derek, my boy Derek. You don't have to come up yet, Derek, because I want to say a few words first. Derek's our guest storyteller tonight. And, you know, I said this, we did a live video a couple days ago, me and him and Danny, and I said, how have we not had you as a guest storyteller yet? He's been involved in this community for over a year now, right at about a year, just over a year. And how's it been so long? He's done his letter to your addiction, and he's done other things here, but he's never been our guest storyteller. I said, dude, this is the right time. Derek, God willing, we don't want to do too many frontsies here, but Derek will be sober for 1 year in just a couple of weeks. And for those of you that know, yeah, we can clap for that. When Derek was here a year ago, I mean, Derek was a hot mess. Let's call it what it is. He was a hot mess. Y'all know, it's funny because it's true. And God has just totally transformed his heart. He works the 12-step program. I see this dude serve. He texts me every single week. Hey, Ryan, is there something that needs to be done at Free? Can I come and serve? Do you know anyone I can serve? I got a voicemail from him just last night. I was sitting in my garage as I was hearing this voicemail. It was so touching. Here Derek is in tears, just saying, I'm doing my gratitude, and I want you to know how grateful I am to be part of this community. And through tears, he's expressing his gratitude for you all in this community and being able to serve in this community. I want you all to hear his story. 'story. And what faith means to him. So welcome, Derek.
Thank you. 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 Than
All right. Are we this camera? Is it this one?
Start here first.
We're going to start here. Derek, let's start here.
We're starting.
So, man, I'm glad you're here. Seriously. Representing Wagon Coffee, too. Look at that.
I gotta give Tammy some
Give her some props. There you go. There you go.
Awesome.
So, Derek is a recovering addict and spiritual refugee. I want people to hear what you lost in your addiction, what addiction took from you. I know it was, and you can go deeper into the story, but I was taking notes as you were talking, and childhood, education, both your kids, 7.5 years of jail/prison, and you said, well, start there. What did addiction take from you? And then I want to know how you ran from God, what the running was like.
Well, I mean, my addiction, man, it took so much from me. I mean, my first addiction when I was a kid was playing sports, just getting out of the house, away from anyone and everyone that I could, just because my family didn't know how to be healthy. And I see that now, and they struggled with it. So,
And Derek, you might need to talk a little louder for those in the
yeah,
back.
so I could speak up. And then I struggled with that because I was asked to keep secrets I shouldn't have. So I ran to something else. I ran to anything I could. I played football, basketball, got lost in women. I did it all, and I didn't know how to be a kid because I was carrying adult secrets. I was carrying stuff I shouldn't have to. And now that I've worked stuff and I've come back, I see that that's okay. I see my parents have their own struggles, and they've dealt with their own problems, and they did the best they could. But that was my first addiction. I lost my childhood. I had to grow up way before I was ready, and I had so much anger. I was so mad at God because I thought I was going to hell. I thought at the age of 5, I was going to hell. I was a Catholic. And, you know, I couldn't confess this stuff. I couldn't tell because if I told I lost my dad, if I told I lost my mom, my family would go, so I chose to go to hell. I chose to keep that secret.
And who was God for you? Like who? This God figure that
He was
the
nothing.
church gave you. Who was this
My
God?
picture of it was a fear. I had to go confess my sins. Like I couldn't chew gum, tuck your shirt in. You know, if you don't do this, you're not going to go to God. If you don't do this, you're a sinner and you're not going to go to God. And I was in utter fear of faith. I was in utter fear of just being a kid.
Yeah.
And that sucked. And as I got older, I found alcohol, and it took that fear away. And I felt like I could be me. But it took a lot more than my fear away. It took my kids. I couldn't be a dad. I had to be drunk around my son just to be there. I'd drive around with him drunk. I mean, I had 3 DVs because of that, restraining orders that sent me away. I've had child support take me away.
For people that don't know what a DV is, what's a DV?
Domestic violence. So she had a protection order on me because I was a drunk, and I would get angry. I'd get violent as I was drunk. Thankfully, I never did anything or hit her, but it still counts, and I have to wear that. Because that's not who I am in my heart. But the DVs started in the DUIs. I got 2 of those, and I've got prison. You know, I assaulted a cop. You know, 2nd-degree assault on a cop. I was facing 12 to 24. And I don't remember much of it. I got tased a lot, but I assaulted a cop, and I had to face that. And it took my life away in that sense. I went to jail and prison. I became a convict. The worst of the worst. I was already going to hell, so I had to believe this is where I belong. And I was happy in prison. A lot of bad stuff happened, but I was happy in prison because I had no choice but to be that person.
And I just want to pause and say for a moment, do y'all see how powerful shame is? I mean, where shame leads us. And do you see why we say in this community, Danny, I'm glad you mentioned it. We've got to mention it every week. We don't do shame because shame leads to prisons, literal and figurative prisons. It always leads to bad places. Go ahead.
So my addiction took me to those places. I had to deal with the fact that, one, I was going to hell, that I had no faith because if I turned to God, it was just going to be more shame and guilt, that there was no recompense because by the time I was 18, after holding on to this, I let that go in anger and resentment. I blamed my family. I blamed my friends. I was so alone, but I wasn't going to turn to God. And at one point, I turned to horoscopes just to make me feel good. I had some kind of faith, but that was a sad thing. I couldn't turn to God. I couldn't turn to him in one way or the other because I was damaged. I was destroyed, and nothing could fix that.
So you told me at some point while you were in prison, it was like God was saying to you, or maybe it was right when you got out, but God was saying to you, I'm going to separate you from everything because you need to be separated from everything so that everything can change. So what, tell us how that changed, that perspective of God. What changed for you?
Well, the first time I got out of prison, I just did 2.5 years, and I got to see my daughter for the first time, and I'm holding her in a McDonald's. All I could think about is where I was going to go drink. I didn't know how to be a father. They just let me out. And that was the first time, and I had turned to meth at that point because I couldn't drink. And that's where that started. But the second time I parole violated, and I had no choice. My family cut me off. I didn't have my kids. I had nowhere to go, and God saved my life. I see that now. He put me in prison to save my life because he had a bigger purpose for me. And I ended up connecting with my house owner, Lex Papish, who took a call from me in prison and was willing to give me a shot. And I had to be separated from my family. I had to be separated from my friends. I had to be separated from it all to get with people I didn't know, to get uncomfortable. And I remember that night I told him I'm high, and he let me in. They let me in the house. I'm still high. I'm still struggling. But God had separated me from everything that I knew so I could start to heal.
And Derek, share with us, the overcoming of shame is not easy because it sticks with us, and it often creates patterns. Share with them the story of what happened when a therapist told you, Derek, I want you to look in the mirror and say 3 nice things about yourself.
Well,
how'd you respond?
I'll say it politely, but I told him
give us the
I told him to go fudge himself. And that's the polite way, and that's where I was at my addiction, and I'm sitting in group therapy for the first time in a IOP, and this guy, who I love to death now, Bill, is like, you're going to look in that mirror, you're going to say 3 nice things about yourself. And I couldn't do it. But I sat there and I looked at the ground, I said the 3 things, and I got done. And I looked at him and I said, you go fudge yourself again, and I left. And that was the beginning, because you got to get uncomfortable to change. You got to be put in a step that doesn't feel right, because that was all new to me. I didn't know how to look in a mirror. I didn't know how to look at myself and tell myself I love myself. I used to shower, and this goes back to my trauma while I was in prison. I was sexually assaulted and beat up pretty bad. And I couldn't even stand in a shower without looking at the door and getting in the water, because it gave me so much anxiety, so much fear. That was going to happen again. I was just so damaged, and this was my life. And the sound of water would just set me off. And I turned to meth, I turned to anything to shut it off, but it just made it worse. And I knew I needed something to fix that. And then there was trauma therapy, and that step of faith just, to know that that didn't happen for no reason, that I can sit here and say that to you people, that there's everyone else that's been molested, they've been beat up, they've been abused in so many ways, and that I can share that and let you know that that wasn't a bad thing, that God wept at that moment, but it is now a strength. I can come and tell you right now that there's healing in that, because someone else needs to hear that. I needed to hear I wasn't alone. And in those groups, I got to hear I wasn't alone. I got to hear people were just as bad off as I was. And I had faith in them. I was like, this is huge. So it's a strength now. And your weakness is a strength. And it can be a beautiful thing if you allow faith and you allow people to work in your life. And that is God. And it is now a strength that I can sit here and say that that thing happened and it was a horrible thing. But it gives someone else hope that's sitting at home with a bottle in their hand, or a needle, or food disorders, or whatever it is that's been beat up by life, to know, oh my God, if this guy can sit here and say that, then I should be out there healing myself. And that's what's powerful about that.
So Derek, you're coming up on a year sober, February 24th, God willing.
God willing.
Don't pick up a drink tonight.
Yeah. Plus it's white coffee.
Someone get him a cup of coffee. What's this community meant to you?
Oh, man.
What do you say to someone who's maybe watching from the edges and saying, I don't know about this God stuff. I don't know about this free church stuff. And what's this community meant to you?
Man, I mean, if you allow God, I think I read the scriptures, allow God to take the damage and make something amazing out of it. You got to have faith. And in the beginning, I'm going to tell you right now, I had no faith in God. I didn't want anything to do with him. This place scared the hell out of me because I'd walk in, people are giving you love and joy, and I'm just like, whoa. I'm standing back here with the whip, whipping myself like, what are you doing in a place like this? You don't deserve this. Yeah. You don't deserve this love. And that shame and guilt beat me up, but they never, ever showed me that door. And yes, I was not ready to believe in God, but we are made in his image. We are made in his beauty. And if I can be beautiful in God, that means you're beautiful in God. And if it takes believing in this guy or the person sitting next to you to tell you I love you and that you're beautiful, have faith in that. Have faith in the person next to you that's telling you something amazing about yourself because it's true. God did not make you ugly. God did not make you in a way that shouldn't be shine. You have that divine spark in you. Allow him to work. But if you don't want to believe in God yet, believe in this group of people. Believe in the people in line, the ones that are writing love. That is God. And that's where I started. And you can start there too. And if you need anything, you need to call me. You need to be told you're beautiful, call me. I will tell you you're beautiful because you are all beautiful.
That's true, he will.
I will pick you up.
Literally, he'll pick you up. Look at him.
Yeah. And that feels good. So share that message. If you can't find the Almighty above, this higher power, he works in us individual to bring us together. He builds us up together. You have that light, so let it shine on someone else that's broken so they can be whole. Share God with them. And that's what happened at this community. They shared God with me, and now I'm able to share it with you. And it's just joy. It's an awesome gift I've been given here, and I will always be here.
Dang, dude, I am so glad you're here. Let's give a round of applause for Derek. Will you jump on the Facebook thread tonight? And really, y'all, I mean this when I say this, and I know he means it when he says it. If you're wondering, man, how'd you do it? How'd you get so? Your life was a freaking mess, and it was.
Mess, yeah.
How'd you do it? If you're like, man, I went through those experiences. I was assaulted. I was abused. Whatever it was, I promise you, reach out to Derek. He's not an expert. He's not some sort of genius. He's just a guy who's been through it, like so many people in this community. So, Derek, I want you to jump on the thread. Show Derek some love on the thread. Let him see some positive. Tell him he's beautiful, dang it.
You guys are all beautiful.
And jump on the thread.
I love you all. This
Engage
is an awesome
people.
experience.
Love you, brother.
I love you
so
too.
glad you're here.
Thank you. Up top. Good to see you.
Man, it's been a good night, hasn't it? It's almost like we could go home right now. No, we can't go home because we got to do heartaches first. We got to do heartaches. Sorry, Danny, I just stood up without giving y'all a warning. So you got my chest down. So listen, we do want to close with heartaches here because I know this is true about y'all because we see it every week. You carry heavy burdens. And you, my brothers and sisters, are not created to carry those heavy burdens alone. You're created to carry it with other people. And God carries those burdens with us. And we believe that when we lift these burdens up, God always hears the cries of the people. So we do this work together. We have a prayer team on site here at Free tonight because I met with this team this afternoon. And if you need prayer, they are going to lift you up, I promise. They're going to connect with you. If you're here in person and you need to connect with someone afterwards, Chandra's here. Peyton's in the back somewhere. Where's Peyton? In the back. Jason's here, leader of our team. If you want just to connect and say, hey, will you pray with me? They'll do it. They'll do it, I promise you. And if you're virtual, if you're online, I want you to get vulnerable for a minute. We believe in vulnerability around here because we don't do shame. We do vulnerability, the opposite of shame. You'll have just a couple of minutes. Give us your heartaches, the things you're carrying, because you don't have to carry them alone. This community will walk with you. I promise you that. They will walk with you. God is always with you in this journey. God is walking with you, carrying the load with you. I love how Derek said it. God is, during those hard moments, God is weeping with you. So y'all, I want to give you 3 minutes. Get vulnerable. I know it can seem a little creepy if it's your first time and you're thinking, what are these people going to think of me? They ain't going to think anything of you. They're going to give you love and support. So if that's what you need, put it in the comments. Take 3 minutes. Welcome back. By the way, for you people live in person here, if you do have them, you can put them in the comments later. We check the thread through the week. So if you have things you want lifted up, this community will lift you up and support you. So put it in the comments. We'll connect with you too. Welcome back, Tammy Canada.
Thank you.
I like that
Nice to
shirt,
meet
by
you.
the way. I should have worn my black shirt.
I like it too.
We could have
Thanks.
matched. All right, let's lift up some comments here, shall we? Oh, before you read this, can I say, Molly, is it Molly Ann? Molly Ann King. You're in Montana. You were asking about the sticker on my iPad? Where is that? Is
I
that
told
right
her I
there?
was putting some in the mail.
Oh,
for
you
her.
did?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing. We're going to mail
Yeah.
some to you.
Yep, they're coming
So,
her
yes,
way.
we have stickers. She wanted a sticker.
And she sent me a message and said she was really impressed with Danny and she wants a copy of his sermon.
Oh, my goodness. There we go.
Yes.
Danny sent a copy.
All right, so Molly Ann says, prayers for my roommate. She has been relapsing the past month, but has gotten worse with time. I'm really worried for herself and her health. But prayers for my own recovery as I try to stay afloat during all of this and that I don't relapse.
Yeah, prayers for you, Molly. Thank you for sharing that with us. Rob Lohman says,
Hey, Rob.
pray for our housing situation, landlord not honoring our lease to own agreement to which we are having to go to court. Such a bummer.
Dang.
Heavy, heavy stuff. Prayers for you and your family, Rob. Thank you for sharing that with us.
From Amanda, doctor found a breast lump this week, having it checked in 3 weeks. Pray that it's nothing serious. Dang, Amanda.
Prayers for you, Amanda. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Jeremy says, prayers for Lindsay's grandma. She had a heart episode this week and is needing surgery and extensive rehab. All right, prayers for the grandma. Thank you, Jeremy, for lifting that up. Prayers for Lindsay's grandma.
And Lori says, coming up on 11 years of losing my only son to suicide at age 19. Miss him every day and my heart hurts.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us, Lori. Some of y'all remember Lori. She's here every week virtually with us, but she was also our storyteller. I don't know, it was a couple of months ago now. What, 3 months ago maybe?
It's been quite a while.
Has it been a while? This COVID stuff has me spinning.
It blends
She's
together.
recently been our storyteller, so glad you're part of this, Lori, and prayers for you. And thank you for sharing that loss with us, holding it tenderly.
This is you.
It is? Oh. Amanda says prayers for Cody, who relapsed and went to detox. Prayers for his recovery. Lifting up Cody. Prayers for you, Cody. Thank you for sharing that, Amanda.
And Cindy, prayers for strength and hope in all that life gives us. I like it. Thanks, Cindy.
Praying for you, Cindy. All right, you know what? Let's go ahead and stop there. If you have more things you need to lift up, like I said, put them in the comments. We will engage y'all all week. Shall I say a word about giving?
Yes, but I'm going to exit.
You're going to exit.
Yes.
She's going to exit. Y'all, listen, speaking of carrying burdens together, it's been a long time, and this is a reopen, so y'all need to hear the true story of the wagon. You ready for it? Let me tell you the story of the wagon. This wagon here, you can't see it in the camera. Danny will get it. This wagon has been a central image in our community from the very first day. We had this wagon in our backyard 2 summers ago when Free started, in the Canada's backyard. And the story behind it is, a few years ago, I was at the Union Rescue Mission in LA, Los Angeles. And while I was there, I took a tour with the executive director, and he was showing us some of their memorabilia. On the top floor, they have a bunch of pictures. One of their center pictures is a picture of a wagon. And this is like black and white, right? I said, what's the story with the wagon? He says, you don't know the story of the wagon? I said, I do not, but apparently I should. He shared with me the story of the wagon. He said, not this wagon, different wagon. He said this wagon is how we got started. Back in the late 1800s, this wagon would go into inner city LA, the roughest parts of LA, and the people on this wagon would distribute hope and clothing and food and Bibles and other things. And then at the end of the night, the people on the wagon would welcome people on the wagon and head to a place of safety and recovery. Now, what happens when you get a bunch of drunk people on a wagon? Some of them fall off, yes. This wagon, though, he told me would stop, and the ones who were healthy and healing, they would get off the wagon and help those back on the wagon because they knew where they were headed, a place of recovery. And when I heard this story, it was mind-blowing to me. I said, that is church at its best. If we can do that here, if we can be the wagon, if we can not kick people when they're down and wounded, if we can not do shame, but we can help people back on, that's what we want to do here. That's the work of Jesus. That's like what God calls this community towards. That's what we want to do here. On top of the wagon is a donation box, and we have donation boxes scattered throughout Free. And really, I mean this when I say it to y'all. Your generous giving here at Free is what sustains not just this community, but it sustains and keeps the mission thriving of creating space for healing, connection, and healing, recovery, and spiritual connection for who? Addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. So I know for many of you, it is a spiritual practice. That giving is spiritual, it's sacrificial, and if this is your home, if you call this place home, we invite you to give generously here. It keeps the mission thriving. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We get checks and stuff every week, and we just can't say thank you enough, and there's 3 ways to give outside of those boxes. And you can download the app. It's free. You can give that way and give monthly or weekly or bi-weekly, however y'all want to do it. Or you can go directly to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com, and you can give there. Safe, simple, and secure. Or text the number on your screen, Be the Wagon, and it'll walk you through instructions. Your generous giving sustains the mission here at Free. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shall we go out with a prayer? I think we should. So I want to invite y'all, find some quiet space. If you're here, Just open your hands. It's a sign of openness. If you're in your living room, bathroom, bedroom, outside porch, wherever you are, open your hands. It's a sign of openness. Quiet your heart. Take a deep breath. And let's go out with the third step prayer. Some of you don't know this prayer. It's why we have it on the screen for you. And it goes like this. God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do Thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of Thy power, Thy love, and Thy way of life. May I do Thy will always. Amen. And to you, my free brothers and sisters, this week, as you struggle with faith, as you make sense of it, may you step out of your head and into something bigger than yourself because it's good. It's not always easy. It doesn't mean it's not scary, but I promise you it's good. And may you, my brothers and sisters, this week experience all kinds of grace and peace along the way, and we will see you next time.